Så.
Well, good evening everybody and welcome to the late Alma show. In case you missed the last week's show, go onto YouTube and watch Tom Cruise and William Shakespeare's fight it out on this show. Tonight we have a very special guest. He is from the wrong side of the Atlantic and was born quite a long time ago. He's not only famous for his impressive literature work, such as The Adventures of Tom Sawyer and The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, but also for changing his entire country's view on comedy. It's the one and only Mark Twain. Woo!
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Long time no see, Mark.
Have we met before?
Not sure. Just one of those TV presenter cliche, I guess. But it does feel like I know you after reading some of your works.
That's interesting. I wasn't aware that people overseas read my work.
Well, I'm not sure that they have and loved it. Let's ask the audience. Is it true that Mark Twain isn't your real name?
How do you know that? Oh, I thought that was highly confidential. Well, okay. My real name is Samuel Langhorne Clements.
Well, that's quite a mouthful.
Excuse me? Am I a mouthful? My mouth is not full at all.
Oh, let's drop that. Why did you choose the name Mark Twain?
Well, when I first started working, my goal was to become a journalist. This was during the beginning of the Civil War. I was working on a boat and saw a plaque that said Mark II, so I thought that Mark Twain was an appropriate name for a journalist.
So you're like Madonna with the artist name.
Madonna? No. Not Madonna. Mark Twain.
Oh, yes.
Mark Twain is what you call a pen name.
Oh, yes, I forgot. Tell us about your childhood. Where did you grow up?
Well, I was born on the 30th of November, 1835, and some people say that my death was on the 21st of April, 1910, but I'm not quite sure why they say that. Well, I was born and raised in Hannibal, Missouri. This would later provide a setting for my novel Huckleberry Finn and my second novel Tom Sawyer's Adventures.
Okay, what about your past?
Well, after my father's death in 1847, I began an apprenticeship with Joseph Ammons, who was a publisher of Missouri Courier, and when I was 16 I started to work as a printer and contributed my first published sketch to my brother Orion at his local paper. And that's where he worked for several years. After this I went on to work as a printer in several other cities, including Philadelphia and one of my favorites, New York City.
Well, that wasn't easy. That was an easy first job. Sounds like you were a slacker.
Well, I wouldn't say so. I remember my first tough job in 1857. I began working as a cub pilot on Mississippi River steamboats and received my first steamboat pilot license in 1859. I worked there for 2 whole years. My job only lasted until 1861, when the American Civil War put a stop to travel on the river. Damn, I hated that war. After several years of working as a miner, I began working as a reporter for the Virginia City Territorial Enterprise, which was located in Nevada, very close to what you call these days Las Vegas. It was then I started to use my nickname, or pen name, Mark Twain. After living in Nevada, I moved on to San Francisco, California, where I wrote for the San Francisco newspapers.
Interesting. So it seems like you have moved a lot and also had a lot of different jobs. What about your wife and children?
I remember that very clearly. The year was 1868, and my wife, Olivia Langdon, refused my proposal. It took her 2 whole months to accept.
Sounds like a stubborn woman.
I know. Oh, do I know. But we also had 3 beautiful daughters, Susie, Clara, and Jean.
So which one of your daughters was your favorite?
Favorite? Stop asking these meaningless questions. Ask me about my work, or something that's related to literature.
Okay, tell me about your most famous work.
Well, haven't you read it?
Of course I have, but there might be some in the audience who haven't.
Well, okay. The book is about a young and noisy boy named Tom. He moves in with his Aunt Polly after his mum's death. Tom is a lazy and uninterested boy who ignores his important work. He skips school and has fun with games and pranks alongside his friend Polly. He also hangs out with Huck, who is a poor tramp boy who lost his mother too. One day they become witnesses to an awful murder and fear that the killer will avenge. Tom also meets Becky on his adventures, and in the end, they fall in love.
Yes, it really is an exciting book. But what about your other novels, Huckleberry Finn, and if I'm not completely wrong, it's a sequel to The Adventures of Tom Sawyer.
Yes, you are right. It's about a 12-year-old whose name is Huck, whose father is an alcoholic. His mother dies at a young age, but he has a friend, Jim. The book is about their homeless adventures.
Jim is described as quite a gullible character.
Yes, it makes it a little more comical in all their troubles that they encounter down the road.
I could agree with that. I know you wanted to reveal an important message from the book.
Yes, it was primarily a protest against slavery and the hypocrisy of Christianity during the time I wrote the book.
Sounds very deep. Maybe a little too deep for a fun talk show.
I would like to think that I achieved success as a writer and a public speaker. While my social ways earned praise from critics and peers and even my friends, and a lot of my friends included presidents, artists, industrials, and even European royalty. So I'd like to think that I was successful.
Twain published 30 books over the course of his career and was an icon for American literature. It has been a privilege to have him here on the Alma Show. Before we end the show, can you tell us about some of your interests?
Well, I have quite a few interests, but I've always had a lot of fondness for cats. I love having them around when I was younger. And once, when I was in New Hampshire for a summer, I even rented some kittens for a local farm. If I could live as an animal for the rest of my life, it would definitely be a cat.
So, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the book-writing revolutionary cat-loving Mark Twain.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Stay tuned, and after the break, we will be talking to Obama about his election win.
Bye-bye.